Now that's why we had more money in our pockets back during that time, and life was better. A businessman understood. Kamala is not a businesswoman. She's not. She'll never have the understanding. I'm just coming out saying everything. She'll never have the understanding of being able to run this country from a business. We need a businessman in office to get us out of this mess. Get over your offense of stuff you done heard in the past, and you holding on to your black folk racist offense, and you're missing God. I don't care who you put in office, they all gonna have some faults and some problems. You accepted Clinton being up in the White House while he was in office messing around with a young girl. You ain't said nothing, not one thing. You was all right with Obama putting the stripes of LGBTQ on the White House. You ain't said nothing.
You have to understand that there's an agenda that has been in place for the last 60 some odd years and going back further than that to use black people, the black community, as useful idiots to usher in the revolution that the Marxists and the communists and the socialists want. See, the reason why they want to use black people is because here in America, when they attempted to use socialism and communism like they have used over in Europe between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie when it comes to work, when it comes to class and those kind of things, it didn't work because America is a republic and because America has the capitalistic system. America has free market. So people were able to have some level of prosperity here in America. So using class arguments, there wasn't enough poor people for them to use in order to usher in a revolution. So what did they do? They decided to use ethnicity. They decided to use gender. They decided to use social things to divide us. That's why you hear about all this talk regarding DEI and critical race theory, and you have all these church plant churches and these church plant pastors preaching this black liberation theology stuff. It's all to divide us in order for America to crumble from within and people to come in and remake it in the Marxist, communist, socialist image. You cannot call yourself a Christian and hate anyone that looks different than you. That goes for white people, black people, Asian, whoever. We're all one race. We're all one race. Acts 17:26 says, "For one blood, God created every nation, every ethnos, and established their boundaries and their dwellings on the earth." We're all one race, the human race. We all came from Adam. So it's demonic, it's man, it's secular to want to divide people based upon superficial features like skin or gender, immutable characteristics that cannot change. That's demonic. That's a tactic, because when you have people that are the elites that want to control people under them, they have to use something to keep the people distracted. And so what do? They use ethnicity. They use gender. They use the LGBTQ. They use all these things to keep us fighting against each other while they maintain power. There's nowhere more evident of that than what they've done in the black community. How they have utilized these church plant pastors, these black bourgeoisie, like I said, that black triumvirate. You have the black pastors, the Greek sororities, you have the politicians, you have the media, then you have the entertainers and the athletes. They use all of them to keep black people in a permanent state of victimhood so the black people can be used against the so-called white evangelicals or white folks, because they will say that the white people are oppressing them. No, 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 no. You are being deceived. You are being tricked. You are being used to believe that that person is your enemy. That person is not your enemy. If that person is a believer in Jesus, that person is a Christian. If that person is a believer, that person is not your enemy. As an American, that person is not your enemy. That is your fellow American. But the people that want to destroy America want you to think that that person is your enemy. They want you to think that person is out to get you. No, they have an agenda, a sinister agenda to control you.
The difference in the Republicans and Democrats is Democrats want to make you dependent. They want to give you money. They want to give you programs. They want to give you welfare so you can always depend on the government. That's exactly what communism wants to do. So they give you free money and all that. And see, people then think this part is really helping me. The difference in them and the Republicans is the Republicans want to empower you. They don't want to give you handouts. There's a story about a man teaching a man how to fish or giving him a fish. Which one is better? If you give him a fish, he's going to keep coming back to you every time for another fish. But if you teach him, empower him, show him how to fish, he'll fish for himself the rest of his life. The Democratic Party does not empower our people because they want them dependent. And that's what communism wants to do. They fit. The Democratic Party and communism, it all fits. Keep them bound so that we can control them. Keep them dependent so that they can keep voting for us. That's what's going on. Republicans want you to get empowered. They want to give you temporary welfare so that you can then go to school, get you a trade, empower yourself so you can be free to live your own life and be self-sufficient. That's the difference. One wants you dependent and the other one wants you to be self-sufficient. So therefore, to many of our people, it look like the Republicans are racist because we're looking for them to give us money and money and money forever like the Democrats. And it looks like the Democrats are doing good about you, but their whole agenda is to keep you under control. Listen to me. The day that you and the day that black Americans get empowered and learn how to take care of themselves, that's the day you're free. You are no longer under the control of the government. You're free now to be self-sufficient and take care of yourself. But what you don't see that's going on is the politicians today that oversee our districts in Congress, they don't want you empowered. Because if all black folk got empowered and could take care of themselves, we don't need them anymore. Because what you don't see is there are allocations of federal money that comes down through those congressmen, and they are the ones that help to dispense where that money goes. That means they can give it to a friend. They can give it to a friend that'll give it back to them. They can give it to relatives, or they can give it to their pet projects. That's why the hood never changes, because the money never comes down to the people that really need it. So the longer we stay poor, the more we need them. They ain't ready to empower you, and they are not trying to empower you. They just want to keep giving to you, because the more we keep giving to you, the more control we got over you. You got to have that money. And once people get used to that dependency, it is hard to break. But if you come on the Republican side, they'll give you temporary welfare, so many months to let you go back to school and get you a craft. Maybe 2-3 years they'll give you that. And that's the Bible. That's what the Bible teaches, self-sufficiency. If you don't work, you don't eat.
And you see, that's the trick that the enemy has pulled through, unfortunately, the government and the Democratic Party. It has made a lot of black people dependent upon the government. So they have replaced God with the government. That's the whole intent of big government, of communism, Marxism, and socialism. It hates God, so it wants to replace God with government. And that is what they have done in the black community. They've made a number of black people dependent upon the government, so that the people will rather continue to vote for folks that will continue to give them handouts. That is why we have 90% of the community voting for the Democratic Party. That is why. And that is why the community has not changed in the last 60 years. See, that's one of the downfalls of the civil rights movement, is right after the Voting Rights Act was passed, right after those things were passed, instead of pivoting and focusing on economic empowerment in the community leaders, the civil rights leaders, pivoted to partnering with the government, to allowing the government to dictate to the community how it was going to proceed. And therefore, that's when the Democratic Party decided to come in, kick out the man, and replace the man and replace God in the community. That's why we have so much devastation, so much corruption, and so much destruction in the community.
And so now welfare, permanent welfare money has destroyed our black communities, because if you're getting guaranteed money every week, every month, or whatever, you ain't got to work. You ain't got to worry about nothing. So what happens? You become idle. They done took the black man out the family, which they knew the key to control the black family is to remove the father. So they gave the women the money the father said, okay, this is easy for me. I ain't got to be responsible for all these kids I done had. I can just come in and dip in and have sex with her for a little bit and go on out the door, and I ain't got to pay nothing. And then I'm going to the next woman. It did not encourage marriage in our families. It didn't, and that's why our families are broken today. So then the women lay idle, and sometimes you have women going from one man to another, or you got men that's going from one woman to another. Then you got kids out there that don't have stable homes with a stable mother and father at home, and they get into the gangs. And now we got these ghettos, and we got these problems in the hood that don't ever change, because the people you are trusting in to get you out of it is just giving you money, making you think they are with you, but their whole agenda is to keep you controlled, to keep you dependent. They don't encourage you to be self-sufficient at all. Kamala is not a businesswoman. She's not. She'll never have the understanding. I'm just coming out saying everything. She'll never have the understanding of being able to run this country from a business. We need a businessman in office to get us out of this mess. Get over your offense of stuff you done heard in the past, and you holding on to your black folk racist offense, and you're missing God. I don't care who you put in office, they all gonna have some faults and some problems. You accepted Clinton being up in the White House while he was in office messing around with a young girl. You ain't said nothing, not one thing. You was all right with Obama putting the stripes of LGBTQ on the White House. You ain't said nothing. But when a Republican comes in office, he got to be racist. But see, what's happening now, black people are waking up, and they are losing black people in the party. I'm going to say this and I'm through. In every socialist society, there's what you call an elite group. Every socialist or communist society, there's what you call the elite. The elites are those that are wealthy. The elites are those that are educated. The elites are those that are famous, popular. They are celebrities. They carry a lot of influence. And we use the elites in order to keep the other folk in line. Watch this now. You're finna learn something. A socialist communist nation will take its best, give them the benefits and the privileges, and their job is to keep everybody else, use their influence to keep everybody else in line. So, when the numbers in the polls was not coming in 2-3 weeks ago, we call in Massa Obama to come in. Massa Obama, you got influence. You's a part of the elites. Go down there. Tell them N-words that they better get back in the line. Tell them black N-word men that they ain't voting for Kamala. You got the influence because you the first black president. Go get them N-words back in line. So he goes in and he attacks black men and tell them, because you are betraying your black sister by not voting for her. No, I ain't. I got a right to vote for who I want. Don't nobody come. Many black men were insulted. Really, it hurt Kamala more, because now more black men are saying these folk think we ain't got no mind of our own. And let me say this to my black sisters. It ain't about that we don't want a black woman. It's about having the right black woman. Kamala's not the right black woman. That's my personal opinion. We don't have to go out here automatically and vote for somebody. That's what they want us to do, because they want us to stay on the plantation. And that's what happened. So now you got these elites: Magic Johnson, Beyonce, D.L. Hughley, Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey. You got who else? All these different, Spike Lee and Samuel L. Jackson. They bringing them to all the rallies. They are calling on the elite now to get the black folk back in line. That's how you know you're in a socialist society already.
And like I've been saying, Their campaign is struggling. And so therefore they bring in the black elites, the black bougie elite, to keep black people in check, to get them back in line. That's how you know that you're living, like Pastor Williams said, in a socialistic society in the black community, because you have to understand something. They only do it in the black community. Have you noticed that? They only do it when they're talking to black folks. They don't do it when they're talking to Caucasians. They don't do it when they're talking to Asians. They don't do it when they talk to Hispanics. You don't see The Rock going to talk to the Polynesian community. You don't see prominent Hispanics, for the most part, going to talk to Hispanic community. You don't see that. They only do it primarily when it comes to the black community, because the black community is where they started their experiment, their socialist communistic experiment. They've done it in the black community. And when they see black people starting to wake up, especially the younger ones, waking up to what's really going on, it frightens them. So therefore, they pull out their black bougie elite puppets to go tell those black folks to get in line. Well, I'm glad black people are waking up to what's really going on, because we're not victims. We are empowered for greatness.